Hey, this is Greg McAfee, and welcome to the Greg McAfee Show. Now let's get started. Welcome back to the Greg McAfee Show, where we discuss steps to successful entrepreneurship, how to take your business to new heights, and ultimately follow your dreams. And today we're going to be talking about how to overcome adversity. And I'm defining adversity today as a state of hardship or affliction, misfortune, a situation in which you have a lot of problems, or a situation that has become a common theme around successful entrepreneurs who build thriving businesses. So in other words, it's normal, okay? It's okay to have adversity. What you do with adversity is what we're going to talk about today. But there's not a successful entrepreneur around, or even not around anymore, who did not have a lot of adversity running a business. We have adversity in our personal lives. We're definitely going to have adversity in business because a business is perfect until you have the first customer or the first employee, right? Okay, so we're going to dive into some great examples today of adversity in business and see how very successful people dealt with it. But first, I'm going to let you know how familiar I am with it. So at one time, my phone did not ring for 2 weeks. And we were in the second year of business. I also had a building completely collapse during construction. We had a technician one time who was huffing an air canister while driving down the highway. And, an air canister is toxic poison. And he passes out. He ran into a city building and along the way hit a park bench where two homeless people were sitting. Fortunately, they were not killed, but they were injured. Basically, lawsuit, all that types of things, plus repairing the city building. I still have the news clip from that. We had an air duct cleaner break a collection of ceramic Disney figurines, which were in the late 60s. He broke several of them as he tried to move a shelf that the customer told him not to worry about. Value was somewhere around $100,000, and that was back when it took a whole month's worth of installs to do $100,000. Okay, so we also, I mentioned before here that back in 2020, just a few years ago, I was attacked by cancel culture, and a major hospital, a major university, and the Better Business Bureau canceled us, along with several customers and a few employees. And I'll tell you how I handled that adversity here in a little bit. But I'd say I'm experienced with it. I'm experienced with adversity. And I'll share some other people who are well-known who have dealt with adversity just like I have, just like you do, and how they handle it. So, successful business leaders or people in general, they just don't give up when adversity strikes. They find ways and means to carry on. And what can we learn from these who have dealt with major adversity and won? Let's see. This guy found that his first venture, which was called Trough O Data, failed to make money because he couldn't solve the product's technical problems quickly enough, and selling to municipalities was a nightmare. Instead of making excuses, Bill Gates credited his later success of Microsoft to the lessons he learned with the problems surrounded by trafo data. Okay? This British inventor, industrial designer, is best known for inventing the dual cyclone bagless vacuum cleaner. What is less known is that while developing his vacuum cleaner, he went through 5,126 failed prototypes before getting it right. He also exhausted his savings in the process, and James Dyson, founder of Dyson Company today, is now worth an estimated $4.5 billion. Could be a little more, according to Forbes magazine. This girl, when she was 13 years old, had a terrible shark attack in Hawaii. She was targeted by a shark, but this accident didn't stop her, and she returned as the Soul Surfer just after 3 weeks of the attack. She's an American professional surfer who wrote about her experience in the book Soul Surfer and the movie True Story of Faith Fighting Back. Her name's Bethany Hamilton, and she lost an arm in the process, and but she goes public so that so she can encourage people to never give up. Her adversity continues to inspire people. Okay, one of the sharks of TV's Shark Tank is one of 10 children, and all whom became business owners. In her book, Shark Tales, she describes her failures without apologies. She had 23 jobs and was fired from 3 of them before finally finding success in New York City real estate. And Barbara Cochran sets an example for how to confront and overcome failure, using it to fuel future success. But she also shows how it can help build confidence, self-fulfillment. All right, this guy sent his book to 27 different publishers. All of them rejected it. He was walking home to burn his manuscript when he ran into an old classmate and who helped him find a publisher for the book. Dr. Seuss went on to become a legendary children's author of classics like The Cat in the Hat and The Green Eggs and Ham. His books now have sold over 600 million copies. Okay. So those are some people that you recognize and you know, and it is just, I guess, good, not good for them at the time, but it's good for us to know that nothing comes easy, folks. Everything has heartaches and tears and adversity, and everyone has to work through it, and everyone has to work hard. So let's talk about how they dealt with it. Let's talk about how we need to deal with it. Number 1 is accept adversity as a norm rather than exception. I mean, if you think you're just going to open up a business and run a business without problems, you've never ran a business, right? So adversity happens. Treat it as every other unknown rather than a crisis or the end of the world or I'm failing. Sounds easy, but we must think differently. We're entrepreneurs. We have to think differently. Things are not as bad as they originally seem. Many entrepreneurs thrive in adversity, and they get satisfaction from solving those problems or working through that problem. Many times we must learn something new. We must grit our teeth, bear it, and accept that we'll be stronger when we get to the end of it. Now, when you're going through it, that's hard to do and that's hard to hear. I mean, if you're going through it and someone says, just grit your teeth, get through it, you're going to be better off. That's hard to hear. Now, after you've done it so much, which we're going to talk about, after you've dealt with adversity so much, I don't say it gets easier, but you deal with it better, okay? So the benefits down the road become way more than the moment of pain, put it that way, okay? The ability to move from failure to failure or adversity to adversity without losing motivation is also a common theme around successful, purpose-driven business owners. We must let the adversity happen. It's one of the keys to speeding up the process and getting to the other side so you can keep going. It used to take me weeks to get over things. I mean, it would take weeks or months to get over certain things. When my business collapsed, I mean, it was like, that was 1996, 97. That took me a long time to get over. We had to rebuild. We had all the walls up. The builder didn't have them supported correctly, and they collapsed. It took me a while to get over that, but today that would be, it wouldn't be a couple hours, but it'd probably just be a couple days, okay? Because a lot worse things have happened since then. All right, so number one was accept adversity as a norm. Number two, don't overthink it. Don't get bogged down in it. Don't drown in it. And just ask for help. I mean, for some, swallow pride, ask for help. For others, asking for help is easy. I don't ask for help just to ask for help, okay? It's not a handout to me. It is a hand up to someone who has been there and done that. So I do not mind asking for help, and I do not mind others asking me for help. So whatever has happened, more than likely has happened to all of us. We've been there, done that. And anyone can tell you who's been through it, or if they say they've never been through hardship and they're extremely successful, they're lying, okay? An isolated position is hard to defend. I'm going to tell you a story. I told this before, but real quickly, I had a friend who was very talented and had many, many years experience in the bike industry. And Dayton, Wright Brothers, was very known for bikes here in Dayton. He started down in an area in Dayton, pretty close to the Wright Brothers where they had started. And he was, I thought, very successful doing what he did best, having a bike shop. He ended up private labeling a bike, using the Wright Cycle name, all these cool things. But every time I would ask him, how's it going? He would say, great, just great. Everything going good? Great. Everything's fine. Yeah, great. I never once heard him say, gosh, Greg, you've been in business 20 more years than me. How do you handle this? Or how do you handle that? I never heard any of that. It was just everything was great. And long and behold, he ended up moving from that area and into another area, which I didn't understand. But he only lasted there less than a year, and they moved completely out. They closed the business and moved completely out of the state. Had he asked for help more, I think he'd still be around. I think he'd still be very successful in his bike shop. But he just never asked for help, even though he had a lot of adversity, like everyone, to deal with. He tried to isolate himself, and isolating yourself does not work in the face of adversity, okay? We must ask for help. By doing so, we'll recover 10 times faster. So don't forget that. When you ask for help and you get some good advice, and there's been many people who have texted me, called me almost on a weekly basis and said things like, Greg, we just had our main technician walk off the job and quit. Been with us 5 years. What do we do? Or Greg, we've got this major customer problem. This customer's suing us. What do we do? Greg, we've got financial issues, or more personally, we've lost a loved one. a spouse has walked out on us, we have issues with our children, or something to that nature, because life is life and we all live it while we're trying to run a business, okay? So number 1 was accept adversity. Number 2 was don't overthink it. And by the way, what kind of coach or mentor would I be if I could not relate to these issues? I'd be a lying one, because a lot of those I've had to deal with, and most business owners enjoy helping others. If they don't, you probably don't want their help anyway. So remember, successful entrepreneurs are not afraid to reach out and ask for help from peers and advisors. Number 3 is practice resilience by staying focused. Resilience is a trait that has always been desirable in leaders, in business deals, in life in general. But in loose terms, it refers to the ability to handle challenges and recover without too much strain. Okay? And as you deal with life and business more and more and more throughout the years, you get better and better at recovering quicker without too much strain. And the entrepreneurial lifestyle is not for those who can't deal with risk and adversity. It just is not. If anyone thinks that starting a business and running a business is easy, then they have not attempted to do it. You know, it's kind of like when we didn't have kids. When my wife and I didn't have kids, we were the expert in raising children, okay? We can tell you what you need to do. But once we had children, we realized we weren't the experts, okay? And that's the way people are. If they don't have experience in business, they'll tell you what you should do, okay? In technical terms, though, resilience is the company's ability to withstand competition and business challenges while remaining flexible and learning from past mistakes, because that's what it's all about. It's going to be hard from you if you don't learn from past mistakes well. Personally, once I do something and it doesn't come out well, I know I don't want to do it again, okay? I can probably say been there, done that as well. So we have to have resilience. We had to have resilience during COVID-19. I mean, places were closed. Our services were needed. We were in and out of homes like normal. We actually we operated like normal. Now, there were some people that didn't want us in their house for just a checkup, but if it was an emergency, of course, we serviced them. The only thing we did different at times was we wore a mask when required. But I talked about earlier about being attacked from the cancel culture. Losing customers is the worst thing that can happen to a business. And we lost quite a few. However, there was still room to rise above the storm and either win those customers back, which we did, once those customers were educated more and realized what I meant when I said something on my personal Facebook. When they realized either what I meant or what I said actually ended up happening, then they came back to us. A lot of them did. Now, not all of them did, but a lot of them did. Or I had to decide what to do because my business was being affected, and it was something that I had caused. So I went out and I made things happen, and I hustled, and I did my best to create twice as many new customers as we lost, and we did, and we rose above the storm, and we have now, just less than 2 years later, we have broken revenue records like never before and made things happen, and we're just continuing on. Adversity is in the past. Do I hear much about it today? Very, very, very little, and it's just gone, okay? Cancel culture was a big thing there for a little bit. And it's still going on a little bit. But cancel culture sucks. It's just a bunch of weak individuals that have no idea about the truth, and they're probably still living in their parents' basement somewhere. So anyway, but there's always room to rise above the storm. And it is shocking. I'll say it did shock me. It devastated me because I was being threatened. My family was being threatened. It hit me pretty hard at the time, but with God's help, it gave me a new motivation to rebuild and to do more. A new motivation to support. I got support from my team. I got support from customers, and again, we just continued to climb that ladder. And so we have to stay focused, and we have to practice resilience. We have to get better at it, and you will. If you handle the small things well, it will help you handle the bigger challenges better. Now that happened in my 30th year, you guys. When cancel culture attacked me, and I got dropped. A couple partners that we advertised with and partnered with dropped me, some big names, and then our local liberal Dayton Daily News decided to publish it all over, made me look really bad. When that happened, it was devastating, but it was my 30th year in business. Had it been my 10th year or my 20th year even in business, I would have handled that totally different. And honestly, I don't know if we'd be here today. Because we just didn't have we didn't have the tenacity or the experience of adversity to handle something that major. But today, I feel I handled it well. We moved forward, and let the record show we're extremely strong today. So here's a few lessons I'm going to wrap it up with. Here's a few lessons that I've learned over the years. Number one, accept failure as a gift that helps you learn how to do it better next time. So accept adversity, not just failure. Accept adversity as a gift. Now, that does not mean that you've had to have adversity all your life to be successful. Some people have adversity in different ways, but accept it as a gift, learn from it the next time, and you'll continue to succeed. Another lesson is to be wary of shortcuts. Do your homework before making a big decision, okay? There really are no shortcuts. There's very few shortcuts to success in business. Another lesson is persistence, which I relate to stay strong, keep moving forward, realize nothing comes easy, and you can get through this. You can get through this, and you will get through this. I mean, I give a lot of credit to God. My prayers, He helped me. His Word, I read a lot. But going through that time, I mean, I surrounded myself in His Word and devotionals and a lot of different, and hanging out with a lot of different people who've been through some of this and also know God well. So another lesson, it's never too late to start or try again. It's just never too late. Start it up or try again. It's been done time and time again. And you can't always do it alone. Like we've talked about today, it's not an alone thing. It's not a single-minded thing. I surround myself with smart people. We have people on my team. When we're at a certain table, I am not the smartest one at the table, nor do I want to be. But we can't do it alone. Use your network and seek out help from good partners, board members, mentors, and coaches. And actually, I read something the other day that 92% of business owners say having someone in their corner, like I just mentioned, has attributed to their success. 92%. So I always say board of advisors, coach, mentors, very, very helpful in your success in business. So I hope this how to handle adversity, I hope it helps you because if you haven't faced much adversity, then be prepared because you will. It's coming, and how you face it will make all the difference in the world, in your business and in your life, by the way. And so, as always, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe below. You can also support this podcast by rating and reviewing on iTunes or your preferred listening platform. Keep listening because stuff like this, how to deal with adversity, only helps you either now or in the future. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at The Greg McAfee Show. No spaces, no underscores. Be sure to tune in next week as we continue to talk about business topics that help you, as always, sleep better at night too. Thanks for listening, and as always, carry on and have a great day.